Today's devotion is titled Sound Forth. We're on day 354 of walking through the Bible in a year, and we do this alphabetically, and we started on the T books. And so today's morning rinse starts with 1 Thessalonians 1 through 3, and it's going to take us a couple of days to get through the Thessalonians. So today your morning rinse is 1 through 3. And then the featured verse for today is 1 Thessalonians 1:8. For the word of the Lord has sounded forth from you, not only in Macedonia and Achaia, but also in every place your faith toward God has gone forth, so that we have no need to say anything. I recently heard a pastor speak on one of the last chapters in the book of Revelation, describing the new heaven and the new earth. And I spoke about that when we talked through the book of Revelation. But this pastor spoke about our impact on this world, and he encouraged us to keep spreading the good news of Christ's return so that others could be saved and see this new heaven and new earth that is talked about. Now, how we live and what we say can very well bring others to know Christ, pointing others to a way of eternal salvation. And while this pastor was closing out his sermon in prayer, I literally saw a picture unfold in my mind's eye of what it might look like being caught up in the sky to meet Christ. And as I watched myself heading to heaven in my mind's eye, I saw several people behind me who were there because of my witness, because of my life and the things that I have lived for. They were there because of that. And in this vision, God gave me a picture of what my influence could look like. And what that looks like is bringing people to heaven with us. And I then asked him to help me to change more lives so that I could lead a whole crowd into heaven, not just a few people, but a whole crowd into heaven. Now, Paul, who wrote the book of 1 Thessalonians and 2 Thessalonians, knows the impact of a life change. We know in his history he formerly hunted Christians to kill them. But when God changed him, when he changed his heart, he went from hating Christ followers to recruiting them to spread the good news. His impact on both the Jews and the Gentiles was widespread and a threat to the standard teachings of that time, because they thought that the gospel or the teachings of the Messiah was only for the Jews. And he really broadened the scope of that, and it was, like I said, it was a threat to the standard teachings of that time. He was such a threat that that authorities bound him with the hopes that they would keep him silent and keep his followers at bay. But his chains could not contain the message that he needed to bring and that he was called to bring. I go back to today's featured verse. I'm going to read that one more time. For the word of the Lord has sounded forth. Now remember, I titled today, Sound Forth. For the word of the Lord has sounded forth from you, not only in Macedonia and Achaia, but also in every place your faith toward God has gone forth, so that we have no need to say anything. His impact, it was amazingly big for the Jews and the Gentiles. And today's featured verse shows how encouraged he was to hear that these new fellow believers were strong in their faith. And in fact, the word of God was sounding forth from their life and ministry so much that Paul, their leader, did not even have to say anything to help them stay on track. Everywhere they went, their faith was displayed for others to see. They sounded forth through their lives. And so the question for me is, does my life, does your life, does our life make this strong of an impact on others? Are we humble? Are we repentant? Does our life make an impact for God's kingdom? And I wasn't going to share this, but I'll share this example. Whereas, last Friday, or last week, I dropped a gift off to one of my clients. And in the dropping off of that gift, we had like a lovely conversation. I was there for maybe an hour or so. And in the midst of my conversation, I said something kind of stupid, and I didn't, I thought to myself, and it was a joke, and I thought to myself, I should probably like say something right now and like retract to that. And I didn't, and I went home, and over the weekend it just kept bothering me, and finally I knew that God wanted me to apologize to them. So I sent them a video message, and I said, I apologize. I deeply respect you guys. They didn't even pick up what I had said. It wasn't a matter of them, picking up. I mean, I knew that they might not have even had thought of what I said and how that conversation went. And sure enough, they had no idea. They didn't even really focus on that. But what was impactful to them is my apology. And they didn't even remember the reason why I had apologized to them. They just were impacted at the mere fact that I would call or send them a video. It was a video text, basically, because I wanted to reach both of them. And so little things like that are how we make a difference. Little things like that are how we can make an impact, because we are in direct obedience to God. And if God ministers to you or wants you to go say something to someone or apologize to someone or whatever it is, if we are knowing, and if God's just nudging us to say it, to correct it yourself, to just hold yourself accountable in a way, and if God's nudging you on that and you do it, then there could be a bigger reason why, and to make an impact for His kingdom just by allowing the obedience to hit our lives, right? And so today's challenge to dig deeper is, just like Paul sent letters of encouragement and thanks, I want you to write 3 thank you notes today to 3 people who have encouraged you or whose lives sound forth the gospel. And ask God to help you have a stronger impact on lives in your world as well. I mean, ask Him to broaden the scope of what you're doing. Ask Him to help you sound forth in all you do. So today's challenge is, write 3 letters of encouragement and send them in the mail, and send them to people who sound forth the gospel. These are tangible things that we can do. Paul sent letters of encouragement and thanks, and I think it is a really great example for us to do as well, sending letters of encouragement, because you never know what that person is needing in the moment. You never know what they are needing, and how much your letter of thankfulness and how much your letter of encouragement is going to actually help their heart. And so that's your challenge. Send 3 letters of encouragement and thanks. The evening reflection today is to just document who you wrote the notes to today and why you chose them, because remembering the why can sometimes be as equally important as what you said. And so writing down the why, because when you write down the why and you send them letters of thanksgiving and encouragement, and you send that out, then in a year from now or in 2 years from now, when you pick up your journal again and you see what you wrote for today, and you might not write every day in your journal, you might not write every day in your book, but when you pick it back up again and you say, okay, on this day with this challenge, what did I write, or why did I write? Why did I choose these people? Then maybe there's someone in the future that will also need an encouragement like what you sent today. And so keeping a documentation is so important, and it can then also encourage you in a year from now or 2 years from now when you write this down, when you see it a couple years into the future and you read who you wrote those notes to and why you chose them. It could bless your heart. And so I'm encouraging you to take this challenge to send 3 letters of encouragement today, just like Paul did. And just like he said in the featured verse, for the word of the Lord has sounded forth from you, not only in Macedonia and Achaia, but also in every place your faith toward God has gone forth, so that we have no need to say anything. Who is sounding forth in your life? Are you sounding forth in your life? If you don't have my devotional, the link is in the show notes, as well as a journal. It's not a standalone journal. It is directly tied to my devotional. So if you need both of them, great. If you already use a journal, then that's fine too. But if you need a journal that's directly linked to my devotional, then the links are in the show notes, as well as on my YouTube description. And I hope that today encouraged you to see value in encouraging others, just like Paul did. And I hope that you can also be, not necessarily someone seeking encouraging letters, but someone who is living a life that Paul wrote letters to, these new Christians who were living out their faith, and he was so encouraged by how strong they were. Is that you? Are you strong in your faith? And I hope that these days and these devotions encourage you to just stay strong, to stay focused, to keep growing in the Lord, to live a life to where that when you go out into the world, when you go out into the marketplace, when you go out into your area, whether it's your neighborhood or your job or wherever, even at church, that people see you as a believer who is strong in their faith. And I am praying that that is an encouragement to you. And until tomorrow, keep rinsing, reflecting, and repeating. God bless you.